Anyway, let us start with this problem. Simran?
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Karmenu adhikaraste na phalesu kadasana. Ma karma phaletu puspate sanjukta karmani. What is the meaning? So every time in the class there will be some lesson from philosophy also. So we'll start with the philosophical background. For Gita. Gita is not a religious book. Find it. Gita is a book of the philosophy of life. So Karameno adhikaraste ma phalesu kadasana ma karma phaletu puspate sanjukta karmani. Meaning is that you have right for work, but not the right for your result. So you have to dedicate your time for your work, but you should not expect that every time you are going to get the result. Result is with the hand of Almighty. That is your lesson for today. Now we will talk about the dislocation of hip joint. Before going to the subject proper, we must have some anatomical knowledge also. Essentially, it is a ball and socket type of joint you all know. Ball and socket type of joint we all know, which is your multi-axial, polyaxial. Polyaxial means, what do you understand by polyaxial means? You have a multi-axial. So you can do flexion, you can do extension, you can do abduction, you can do rotation, everything, polyaxial. So polyaxial joints are relatively unstable type of joint. So if you do consider that of your shoulder joint, you will find shoulder joint is also essentially a ball and socket type of joint, but there you will find the stability most of the time is being played by the other factor like soft tissue and muscles and ligaments. Rather, in case of your hip joint, it is to greater extent being played by the bony configuration also. Why? Because the socket is so that it is engulfing, but most of the head is being covered by the socket. One point. Number 2 point is that to some extent the margin of the socket is also increased by the attachment of the glenoidal labrum or your acetabular labrum. Yes, so that is to some extent this depth is also increased. That way, greater part of the head is inside, and it is said that every time, any moment, there are at least 40% of the head is always being in cover of your cover. Now, question arises that what are the other points? What are the other things which is providing the stability? Because if the joint is more stable, the chances of dislocation is less. Yes or no? More stable. The chances of dislocation in shoulder joint is more than that of your hip joint. Why? Because to some extent the stability is being provided by the bony configuration also, and to top of it, it also has other things to do, or other things to play the stability factor. The other things are mostly the capsule. Now, interesting point in this capsular attachment of the shoulder hip joint is that you will find the capsule in anterior aspect is attached to the intertrochanteric line. Intertrochanteric line. But posteriorly, instead of attachment in the intertrochanteric crest, it is shorter than this. It is almost half inch shorter. Yes, that is one way of providing stability, which is a strong structure. And this, what is the fate of this capsule? That a part of this capsule is reflecting back along with the neck, and this part of the capsule which is going back towards the neck, towards the head, is called retinaculum. So you must be knowing that they do not have this periosteum in the neck. Why you do not have? The periosteum is being replaced here by the retinaculum. Just like the retinaculum, the flexor retinaculum, extensor retinaculum in your limb, the ankle or the wrist joint, you do have retinaculum here, which is just like a periosteum but devoid of the characteristics of your periosteum, because it does not have the property of laying down the osteoclastic cell in case of trauma or injury or fracture healing. So that is another minus point in the healing process of the fracture neck tumor. We are not going to talk about this, but we know the characteristic of this healing. And besides capsules, we do have the ligaments there. One ligament which is lying anteriorly is known as Y ligament or iliofemoral ligament. This is one of the most strong ligaments in your body, which is Y in shape. Y in shape and is very important in the anterior aspect of the joint. Posteriorly, we do anteriorly also from the pubis, it is called pubifemoral, and another is from the ischiofemoral. So if you have all these things, one is iliofemoral, one is your ischiofemoral from the posterior side, another is your pubofemoral ligament. This ligament, why you are talking? Because these are the important stabilizer of the joint. And in a case of your dislocation, necessarily it has to go away. Then points arises your this is about the ligament and the joints and the stabilizer. These are the actually all playing their role of providing stabilization of the joint. ठीक है sir? And a little bit of your blood circulation, one or two word that you all know that the ascending branch of the medial and lateral circumflex artery is the contributor, actually main contributor to the supply of the head and neck area. This ring is being formed by the ascending branch of medial circumflex and circumflex, which are the branch of the profunda femoris. Again, profunda femoris is a branch of the femoral artery. So these two branches form an extracapsular ring from which it provides branches towards the head and neck area, and these branches are known as retinacular branches. So initially these retinacular branches are lying outside and going towards the medial side, it gets penetrated, it becomes intraosseous. At the time comes, it becomes intraosseous. So that is why one of the reasons behind is that while there is a fracture in the more subcapitate area, the chances of avascularity and non-union is more, because most of the vessels at the most of the time become intraosseous, and in case of fracture, the chances of injury of the vessels are high, rather than that of the basal part where the chances is a bit less, because some arteries are still outside, not yet intraosseous. This is little bit of, then also another contribution from the obturator artery for the ligament arteries. That is another chapter we are not going to talk. Now, as far as your dislocation is concerned, in hip joint, we know that there are three types of dislocations. One is your posterior, while the head is going posteriorly, another is your anterior, another is your central. Now, central dislocation most of the time is nowadays being considered as a part of your acetabular fractures, because it deals better in the acetabular, right? So it is acetabular fracture, and the head while it is going posteriorly, we will say the posterior, while it is going anteriorly. Now, deforming force as far as concerned, how it is working to do either this pelvis is stable, the deforming force might be working through the femur to cause dislocation, one point, or the femur is stable, now pelvis is being pushed anteriorly for the posterior dislocation. What do you understand by that? The understanding of this here is that this force, deforming force, may sometimes act through the femur, or it may act through the pelvis. Because there are two components. This component may go this way, this component may go this way. Yes? Or this component may go this way. The one part is stable and another. So working force means deforming force, how is working? As far as dislocation is concerned, that means in case of posterior dislocation, most of the time the deforming force is working through the femur. On the other hand, in anterior dislocation, most of the time the deforming force which is coming from posteriorly is working through the pelvis to cause the dislocation. Right? So this is the deforming force, how it causes the deforming force working. Now let us consider the posterior dislocation or anterior dislocation as a whole. Step by step. We know about 80 to 80%, but sometimes even 90%. Somebody says that more than 85% of dislocations of the hip are posterior type of dislocation. And let us talk about posterior first, then we will go to the anterior. So in the posterior fixation, that this force I told you that is working through the femur. So deforming force is most of the time working through the femur. Now, what is the most vulnerable situations in the hip joint? If the limb is, hip is flexed, and if it is adducted, yes, and if it is a bit interrogated, you see most of the head is lying almost posterior. This is called vulnerable position of the hip. Again, the same thing is happening in case of soldier joint. While abduction and external, this is a vulnerable situation of it. That means at that point of time, the joint is very vulnerable for dislocation. Montasai, you are getting my point? If you have anything to ask, you can ask. I want to make the things very clear to you. So that as I told you, that is most of the time, why this cross leg? See, if you are doing a cross leg, means cross leg, that means this is hip is flexed, hip is adducted and interrogated. See, what is status of the hip posteriorly? This is becoming almost out. In a situation, if the force is working from here, it will go out. Yes, this is quite normal. Now, this is necessarily a posterior dislocation. Now we'll talk about this defects also. See, these dislocations, while going posteriorly, necessarily it will damage certain part in the posterior structure, because you do not have anything to accommodate the dislocated head. You have a whole anatomical structure there, be the ligament, be the capsule or the bone, right? Now, then the injury to the posterior structure is always evident. You have to have, because you have to tear it off and go ahead. So in these situations, now how much being injured to this part is dependent upon the how much it is adducted. What is the meaning of this? Meaning of it is that if the limb is more adducted, cross leg, then the head is going almost out. If this push is there, that means the substrate which is more injured is the capsule and ligaments and muscles. But if the limb is in neutral position, that means thrust of the force is working on the posterior acetabulum. And if it is more towards the abduction and force is working, that it will work more on the floor. Are you getting my point? So more it is adducted, more the chances of your going head out easily. So in a situation like this, the force which is working here will only do damage to the posterior capsules and the posterior structures. But if the limb is more towards the neutral side, that will hinge on the acetabular margin. And if it is more towards the abduction side, it will do more damage to the acetabulum. Everybody is clear of it? So the chances of injury and the subsequent classifications of the posterior dislocations as the abstain is concerned is actually dependent upon the injury on the posterior structures. So more it is adducted, it will cause more damage, less damage. More it is towards the neutral or it will cause more damage to the acetabulum. So on this point of view, so you have marked, sometimes you may have only the injury to the posterior soft tissue structures, capsules and ligament. Sometimes the margin of the acetabulum is injured. So it is type 1, that is single fragment. Type 2, one is soft tissue injury, no injury to the, that is 1. In number 2, abstain type 2 is that there is a injury, big chunk of bone is coming out from the posterior acetabulum. Now if it is more A, then it will cause combination of the fragment. It is type 3. Then if it is more Go, that means it will cause the floor injury, that is type 4. And sometimes, yes, while it is going so, necessarily it will also cause the chances of the injury to the head also. Yes or no? There is a possibility, because impact of the force is more there. So necessarily there is damage posterior structure, but equally there is every possibility of injury to the head as well. Sometimes the head is injured on the posterior side, inferior part. That is another classification known as 15 classifications. That is, the subsequent classification means that the fifth point is that there is a possibility to injury to the greater extent to the head as well. And how much head is depend, how much head is injured, and which part is injured, that is your 15th classifications. If it is going to inferior part, that is not concerned about the body weight bearing, it is a safe part. But if it is involving this area of superior part, it is more damaging. Probably weight bearing will be a difficult situation. Yes or no? So necessarily you have to do the pressure. There may be associated head fracture also. There is injury to the neck of fracture. So subsequently, that is another classification, the 15th classification. that treatment classification is dependent on the degree of injury and site of injury to the head and neck area. That is clear? So, in the posterior dislocation, say that is a posterior one. We have said this is the extensivity of the injury on which we say it is a absence classifications, and the possibility of injury of adult dependent upon the impact of the force at the time of the position of the head inside the acetabulum at the moment of time. Yes or no? This mechanism you are supposed to understand, then this classification becomes very easy to understand. This is all dependent upon these factors. Okay, sir? So this is all. So if the structure is going posteriorly, so you have an important structure lying there is your sciatic nerve. So necessarily the possibility of injury to the sciatic nerve is high because it's a very important structure lying posteriorly the sciatic nerve here. Okay, sir? So besides causing damage to the capsules, the ligaments, the soft tissue structures, the small rotators of the external rotators of the hip, and variable degree of acetabular injuries, the posterior margins up to the floor, all dependent upon this. Besides, this impact of the force may essentially cause the damage of the posterior structure far behind, which is sciatic nerve. So that is why in a trauma situation it is always mandatory to look for the integrity of this neurovascular structure distal to it. That is an important point. Now that is about the posterior dislocations. Now let us talk about the anterior dislocations. What is the mechanism of flexural injury here? So in these situations, what I mean, there flexion may be there or extension may be there. But what is more important? What is more important here? That the head is now coming anteriorly, and most of the time, what is happening? The force is working from behind. It goes abduction. Goes abduction and it goes for externation. So suppose you just imagine what will be position a person is being hit from posterior side, is working on it. While he is falling on the floor, what will be position of the limb at that moment? You will find this is going for abduction, this is going for externation also. Yes or no? And that leads to your dislocations of the head coming anterior. Now this is the anterior situations. Now whether the head will be going inferiorly or whether the head will be going superiorly, it depends upon the position of the hip at this moment of time. Whether the limb was at the moment of flexion or it is in the extension. If it is extension, it go like this. If it is flexion, it will go like this. Got my point? So anteriorly you do have two positions. Mostly it is coming either inferiorly or it goes superiorly to pubic type or iliac type. Inferiorly this occipital type, and that is abduction and externation is must. But whether it is extension or flexion of the hip, that will determine whether the head will go superiorly or inferiorly. That is understood. And on the other hand, if it is a central flexor dislocation, essentially the force is working from here. Working from here, while the person is trapped between these two structures, two mobile car, he is trapped, and the pushing of the force is working such that it is break the floor and will go inside the rib cavity. Okay, sir? So anteriorly, while it is going anteriorly, so important structure lying here is your femoral nerve. So necessarily there is a possibility of injury to femoral nerve also while the hip is doing anterior dislocation. So that is why I told you that any trauma situations, it is a mandatory to look for the integrity of neurovascular status beyond the level of injury. Because to make it a habit. That is why it is important that you, if you do not document this type of injury at the time of initial visit, you may miss these things and he may claim it later on that it is developing during the time of treatment, not at the time of injury. Are you getting my point? So that is another thing. That is why documentation at the time of initial assessment is a very important thing to save your skin as well from legal point of view. Why? That in this situation, if you document it, not documented, and if the thing is being assessed later on and will come out that it's a case of sciatic nerve injury also, probably it will be trapped because you failed to document it in the initial period. then he may claim that no, this is being happening during time of treatment, not any time of injury. So that is why documentations of this injury is very essential. Moreover, not only documentation, not only neurovascular status, it is also important that in hip joint dislocation, it is a tremendous force working here. Since it is a very stable joint and mostly happening in case of rotophic and violent injury, so there is a possibility of injury to the other type of the body parts also. So it is always mandatory to look at the patient as a whole from ATLS guideline point of view. But as far as the hip is concerned, the nearby structures most important anteriorly femoral nerve and posteriorly the sciatic nerve. So you must know that part, and it should be clear in your mind that what is the possibility of extensivity of the injury to the important structures, vital structures like anteriorly and posteriorly. This part is clear. Now let us talk. If the patient is coming to you, the patient is coming to you with the attitude of your, in case of dislocations, posterior dislocation, what is the attitude? Flexion, adduction, interrotation. Okay, accepted. And in case of anterior dislocation, again he is coming flexion, abduction and exaltation. What is common in between these two? Flexion. Now anybody can tell me why the flexion is common here? Anybody who can tell me why flexion is common in both these conditions, though the reverse pathology is happening both? Why it is not coming as a reverse one? Can anybody tell me? The question, the reply to the question is that integrity of the iliofemoral ligament. This is important. The integrity of the iliofemoral ligament is the cause of your flexion in both posterior, both anterior. So this flexion is common only because. That is why a term known as atypical dislocation. Anybody who know what is called atypical dislocation? The atypical dislocation is that this characteristic fixture of this is lost. Flexion is lost. Patient will be in extension. Why? Because in this situation there is a rupture of the iliofemoral ligament. So that part also to be clear in your mind, that the situations may be there where you may not get this classical attitude of the dislocation. The question here is the injury of the iliofemoral ligament. That is called atypical dislocations of the hip joint. That may not be a common features, but this should be your mind that though there is no classical features, but he may have dislocation. Mondo sir, you got my point? So that is your that is for postgraduate, that is up to this undergraduate. So postgraduate, you cannot miss that. So that is another situation called atypical dislocations of the hip joint. That should be clear. So that is one. The next point is that go for the investigation and also confirm the diagnosis. The investigation, AP view, X-ray is most of the time, AP view of the pelvis and lateral view of the pelvis, hip joint is most of the time is sufficient enough to have a diagnosis. People used to do dislocation reductions in the casualty without X-ray also. But there is a question mark. Question mark is that it is better that most of the time we do have a facility of doing the X-ray immediately. It is better to do, to have the documentation as such, one point. Number 2 point is that there will be associated fracture with neck also, which may not be there in clinical assessment. You may fail to do so. So for the documentation part also, it is important to go for the immediate X-ray. But as such, as far treatment is concerned in dislocation of the hip joint, it is always you have to be very fast. And it is a actual emergency situations in the orthopedics. Compound fracture treatment in orthopedics is not an emergency situation. Mind it. This is not an emergency situation. Mind it. But this is an emergency situation. You cannot keep it like this. Why I am saying so? I am saying so, that is that prolong the duration of the dislocated head lying there. Besides giving this patient a trauma, injury and extensivity of the head, there is a possibility of mounting of the avascular necrosis of the foot here. So more the time he is in dislocated positions, more the chance of the avascular necrosis. The earlier is always better. Any time which is coming, you have to be prompt to reduce it as early as possible. The chances of AVN is always mounts up if it is prolonged. So that is why it is an emergency situations, be it in the casualty, be it anywhere else, your idea is to reduce it back early as possible. That is your concept. Now X-ray, I told you, you assess the X-ray, lateral view is important sometimes to know whether the head is lying anteriorly, posteriorly. But this X-ray may not be sufficient enough to tell you about the acetabular conditions, also some sort of focal fractures. So in these situations, people used to go for CT scan. Now can anybody tell me which CT scan is more important, the pre-manipulation or post-manipulation? Why so? It is not the pre-manipulation X-ray is more important, rather always go for the CT scan after manipulation. Why I am saying so? I am saying so in the sense that the reduction of the dislocation is not merely the job. But this reduction should be congruent reduction. What is called congruent reductions? That this uniformity of the disc space, joint space is retained back. And many times you may invite small fragments of the bone coming in between the two surfaces. And this surfaces is lodged there, the fragment is lodged there, it will essentially damage the articular surface and then will propagate, accelerate the process of post-traumatic arthritis of the hip joint. Post-traumatic arthritis of the hip joint. That is why, and that fragment cannot be delineated so easily with the X-ray. But here the CT scans plays an important role to do so. It is also important to look for that the hidden fractures, the acetabular fractures, the 3D reconstructions will definitely tell you much better about the status of the head, status of the neck, status of the acetabular fracture, associated injury. इसको बताओ, इसको दोबारा करना पड़ेगा। इसका तो नहीं है ना? Oh, very good. Now, do you have anything to ask any question till now? Now everything is clear. Now we have said about the importance of the CT scan. You have said about the X-ray also how to read. APBO in X-ray and angiodislocation will find that the head seems bigger than that of the other part. In case of APBO angiodislocation, which is essentially smaller in case of posterior dislocation compared to the other part. And lateral view also going to help you. Lateral view also help you to confirm whether the head is lying anteriorly or posteriorly. Besides, there is oblique views which are not a part of the dislocation, actually that is a part of your acetabular dislocation, we will talk later on. What is the role of MRI? The role of MRI as far as the hip joint is concerned is not very important. But there is the importance of the MRI also, particularly not the hip but the knee joint. Why? As you know, most of the time the thrust is coming from injury. So there is the possibility of injury to ligamentous structure in the knee joint. That is why sometimes it is important to go for MRI here, not here, in a dislocation. That is also important to know how much it is important to go for MRI in a trauma situation. And next point is that we have discussed diagnosis for now. Now the treatment part. Now what is the commonest mode of injury? As I told you, the posterior dislocation is quite common. So while this posterior dislocation is like this, the easiest way of doing is your Ellis technique. You all know about the Ellis technique. We have techniques like known as Bigelow's technique, where you do the reversal of this attitude. But that may lead to sometimes injury to the neck. Reversal, but it is not being usually practiced. Then you have a technique like Thompson technique, where the patient is prone and you push it back. Patient is prone at the edge of the table, then you push. Now what is Ellis technique commonly practiced is your hip is now flexed, knee is flexed, assistant will stabilize this erect rest, then you will pull it anteriorly. A sound of clack will be coming and there is a freedom of your movement. That is quite common. That is expected. Now what maybe situation may be? One, that you may able to do the reduction. One point. then it becomes free and you can extend it. Limb becomes equal in both sides. But in a situation that you may not able to reduce it. One point. Number two, after reduction also what to do? So many questions are there. So if you able to do the reduction here like this, what next you supposed to do? You keep the limb like this, Keep the limb like this. Push it back again. In neutral position. Neutral position, push it back again. This is log for the stability test. This is called stability test or telescoping test. This telescoping test will tell us about the stability of the joint. How much being injured in the acetabulum here. If the acetabulum posterior limb is very much damaged, the head will go very easily again. And it can again come in. That means it is going and coming very easily. That indicates that there is a greater extent of the acetabular limb is 10x. This is the unstable type of reduction. So essentially you have to take care for the giving skeletal traction and maintain it. That is one point. Another point that you cannot push it back. That means it is a stable type of dislocation. Free, but you cannot push it back. So after reduction, you do stability test. Okay, sir? Now extension, then immobilization. That is another chapter. Another point is that where you are unable to reduce it. Where you are unable to reduce it, there are few causes. One, there will be buttonholing of this layer. Buttonholing means the ligamental structures which is torn, capsules, external rotators, they can hold the neck of it like this. This is like the buttoning. So you pull it, it cannot come. That is one point. Number two, sometimes the labrum we have discussed, it may go infolding, it may infold inside. That is occupying the acetabulum and it is not going to occupy it. Are you getting my point? There is one. Sometimes this fragment which is posteriorly fractured, it may come between, which will not allow the head to come into the acetabulum. That is another factor. So sometimes rarely said that the sciatic nerve may come in between here, the sciatic nerve. So that means in a dislocation reduction also so many things may happen. In the maneuver, we have discussed what are the various maneuvers. Techniques, mostly English technique. Patient is on the floor, not in the operation table. Under anesthesia, he is there. Or sedation. Do the manipulation. Reduction acid, do the stability test. Then maintain it. Unable to do reduction, causes are like this. What to do? Open reduction immediately. Open reduction immediately. Okay, sir? So you cannot compromise there. You have to do the reduction immediately. Either conservative treatment or if failed, then go for operative treatment. You cannot wait for long. That is your concern as far as so as far as the operation is concerned, here acetabulum, two types. One, when you fail to do reduction, you do an immediate upper reduction. But as far as the acetabular construction is there, that means after reduction, one should go for CT scan evaluation. 3D reconstruction is important to see actual status of the acetabulum. Now you evaluate whether you need to go for reconstruction of the acetabulum or no. If essentially you need to go for reconstruction, then you do not do this operation immediately. You wait at least 1 week time. It is a second week time is good because you got extensive trauma, hematoma, it will make you difficult to do the surgery there. So in a situation like this, you want to wait for the second week time to the reconstructions of the acetabulum. But as far as this immediately unable to do the reduction, one should do the reduction with the either conservative treatment or operative treatment. ठीक है sir? ठीक है? So after that you have to maintain it. How long? And what is the post manipulation technique? Post manipulation techniques are two. One, where is stable type, unstable type. If only the soft tissue is injured, probably you can mobilize the patient early without weight bearing, but you sufficiently rest it. But in a case of your stable, unstable fractures, you have to maintain this. So reduction, after reduction, post reduction, treatment protocol is tailor-made depending upon the extensivity of the injury of the acetabulum structures there. More the damage, more the rest. Less damage, less is the rest. That is the protocol. Okay, sir? That is nothing like that you keep everybody in the bed for a long time. No. this is probably called more damaging. ठीक है sir? In long run, what are the problems you may face? One is called avian, which is more common. One is called post-traumatic osteoarthritis of the joint, and another is your heterotopic ossification. Heterotopic ossifications may be there around the joint because of the calcifications of this, your calcifications of the muscles following trauma. ठीक है sir? So मैंने from beginning to the end, after what are the complications? Immediate complication we have discussed about neural injuries. And late complications are osteoarthritis, avian, heterotopic calcifications, etc. The late complications. ठीक है सर? हमने शुरू से अंत तक आपको ये समझाया. अभी आपको कोई किसी को कुछ पूछना है. I am not talking much about the central dislocations where the maneuver of this flexion and anterior is also there. You convert to posterior density reduction. Subsequent treatment is same, anterior type. And central type you have to give a central tractions like this to put out the head from this development. That is for your central flexor dislocation. So do you have these techniques there? But we are more concerned about the posterior type, which is more common, and you are supposed to have a better concept of the posterior. That he is not having this classical attitude. Classical attitude is lost. As I said, the flexion is not there. So limb who is posterior dislocation, suppose you have flexion, adduction, interrotation. Now it is missing. Why? Because of the injury to the ligament. So that is why the presentation is atypical. Your concept is clear. You must have a clear concept about dislocations, and if you have anything to ask, we are ready to reply. If no, we will close here today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, sir. आपको मन में आनंद हुआ?
Yes, sir.
चलो ठीक है. थैंक यू. आज के लिए ही समाप्त करते हैं.